Goeiedag, good day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world.
I've been looking around for salvation. I've been looking around for the truth. All around me I see frustration, and I looked all over till I found you. I sit and listen to your stories, and you're telling me, please don't worry. It's a lot in this world you should know, and love in life is where you should go. If you're looking for somewhere to go, if you're looking for someone to know, if you're looking for someone to guide you, then love in life will guide you.
Goeienaand, good evening, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world, and welcome to tonight's live stream, and once again a very different one. But before we get on to our subject tonight, I've had a lengthy discussion with Rudy, and we had that this evening, and he assures me that the content on the Loving Life TV channel will be sorted this weekend. Looks like YouTube is making our transition from their platform to Loving Life TV a priority. I have no idea why Loving Life Live was cancelled last night. There was no warning or reason for it, but it does reflect the hostile platform that YouTube has become for many, many channels. From Monday 5 a.m., I will be having regular morning live streams, normally from about 8 a.m., with Edward, who is currently, like Jason Bartlett did last year, taking an epic walk. Edward is walking from Howick to Cape Town via Bethlehem, the long way. For the record, he is currently looking for someone to run a backing vehicle with supplies, etc. Edward is currently in Moy River, and his next stop, which he leaves for on Monday, is Escort. Excuse me. Following on the intro to crypto from Willie Jordaan, tonight, Rael Leach is joining us to discuss cryptocurrency. I was one of many who put their foot in the water after Willie's chat, and I've done several trades on crypto using very small amounts like 50 Rand to get used to how the system works. Personally, I've at this stage settled for BCH or Bitcoin Cash to play with. Please remember to subscribe to Loving Life to be kept informed and to put your questions into the side chat for our guest. I'll get real on. Here we go. Hi, Rael.
Hi, Scott.
How are you?
Great, thanks, and you?
Excellent, thank you. I can't see you at the moment. I just got your little icon.
Oh. All right, let me switch my camera on.
There you are. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Right. Now, I've just started putting my foot in the water with crypto, and have to say it's quite easy once you've got the hang of it. But obviously there are lots of pitfalls and things like that we're going to be talking about tonight. Before we do that, Rael, let's start by getting a bit of your background in crypto and what you do now.
It's been a very interesting journey, Scott. If you asked me or told me about 7, 8 years ago that I would be involved in crypto, I would have said, I don't even know what you're talking about. So it was an interesting journey. I was a full-time pastor for 7 years. And during that time, I had just this most awesome experience. And then one day I found out I was kicked out the ministry. I was kicked out the church, and I had to do something out of desperation. And through the line of joining Ponzi schemes and stuff, my wife and I discovered shortly that there's a good and bad side to everything. We got involved in cryptocurrency, and that was 2 weeks of sleepless nights. And when I got to see the depth of what is behind the scenes and why it was created, and the blockchain, I went to the blockchain conference in Johannesburg for the first time, and during that conference, I actually went and learned to trade, and then I started classes. So for the last 6 years, we've been teaching people how to trade with cryptocurrency.
Right, and many of them have become millionaires as a result, I think.
Oh yes, some of them multi-millionaires today.
Okay, all right. Now, as I see it, well, first of all, how big are cryptocurrencies now? I mean, I know that Bitcoin is nearly $1 trillion when you take all the crypto, the Bitcoin crypto. How big is the market now in cryptos?
At the moment, they're talking about $900 billion in value. But the cryptocurrency is it's only testing the waters now. We haven't really seen mass adoption. I mean, Elon Musk and others have made some entries into this. They're starting to dip their feet.
More than dipping his feet with $1.5 billion in Bitcoin.
Yes.
I would say that's a full body immersion. But anyway.
Well, he's a South African, and South Africans are like that. South Africans are wild at nature. There's a few South Africans that are, even the conservatives are. They're not dipping their feet in Bitcoin. They're just joining Bitcoin Ponzi schemes and then losing
like
their
MTI.
money. What a disaster!
Yeah. Okay. So obviously we're going to be talking about what to watch out for when it comes to Bitcoin tonight. Now, as I see it, there are two types of investors in crypto: the trader, like yourself, and the sitter. The sitter is one who buys some crypto and just sits on it and waits for it to grow in value. Do you see it this way, or have I got it wrong?
Well, there's always two kinds of people. There's an extrovert, there's an introvert, and if you want to divide it into the Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant, then you actually get 4 kinds of people. And with traders, you get 4 kinds of traders. But the way you've summarized it, that's probably the easiest way to summarize it, yes.
Yeah, because that's how I see it. I mean, at the moment, I've put my foot in the water and I'm kind of scared to go halfway. So I'm kind of just sitting there and just seeing what happens. Okay, now, how does Bitcoin... Okay, before we look at that, to get involved in crypto, for those who've never done it, you need a bank account, you need an internet connection, you need a cyber wallet, which is the difficult little thing, which really is not difficult, and you need a mobile phone. Is there anything else you need to get involved with crypto?
No, well, education.
Yeah, obviously, but I'm talking about the physical things.
Yes, the physical things. In fact, there's some of those, the list that you've given that you can actually jippo, because if you've got a cryptocurrency exchange, a local, in your own country, you can virtually pay cash into their bank account, and so you actually don't need a bank account. But Obviously, to withdraw, you're going to need a bank account.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, let's get started. How does Bitcoin fit into the current world?
Well, Bitcoin is definitely, when you speak to a banker about Bitcoin, they go, "No, that, you know,
They
they
don't
get
like
angry.
it. On gas.
No, this we're against that. And obviously, banking is becoming an outdated system. I mean, I read a book called The End of Work in 1999, and the guy said by 2008, their aim was to decrease the staff of banking uh, by half. And the banks have got it pretty much right to decrease their staff. So when it comes to you talking to bankers, you need to talk to people about blockchain. So when we talk about Bitcoin and we talk about blockchain, it's like talking to someone about religion versus something that they're passionate about. So when you talk to anybody about Bitcoin, you get these guys with the fuzzy minds. They diehards. If you ever heard of a coin called XRP, these guys, they will not sell their XRP even if it goes to half or a third of its value. So you can't talk any sensical conversation. But the world of Bitcoin as a result of the blockchain, Bitcoin has become popular. And Bitcoin, there's a lot of snags to Bitcoin. It's too expensive to send Bitcoin. It's slow in its transactions. So there's a whole lot of shifts that have happened in the blockchain space.
Right. Now, I've got a couple of questions coming here. I'll put those to you later, but there's one that's very relevant to what you've just said. And that, look, first of all, before I put that to you, I always get confused. What is blockchain? I know what Bitcoin is. Bitcoin is the piece of code that represents a certain amount of a coin that has a certain value. So a piece of Bitcoin has a certain set value depending on what it's been traded at that moment in time. So it's like an asset. But what is blockchain?
Let's talk about post office or DHL.
Right.
So whenever you want to send a parcel to somebody, you need a middleman. And of course, when you're doing any transactions through your bank, you need, or you want to send money to somebody, in most cases, you're going to need a middleman called the bank, and the bank is going to transfer the funds,
right.
And in some cases, they're going to query that. But in the case of blockchain and Bitcoin is the parcel that you want to send, or the gift that you want to send to someone, or the payment that you want to send, and the transport company is the blockchain. And the transport company has a ledger system that is recording all the movement of all the transactions or parcels that are being sent all the time. And obviously now we're talking about electronic transactions. People say to me, I don't want to become involved in Bitcoin because I can't see it. Then I say, well, how many of your transactions do you do on a daily basis that are electronic anyway? So it's electronically, you cannot, if the bank switches off your profile, you cannot then trace transactions, or someone else can't trace your transactions. But this is a public ledger. So with Bitcoin, it's a public ledger. Anyone that wants to do illegal transactions cannot do it with Bitcoin without being discovered eventually. They will need more private blockchains for that. But coming back to your question, it's just a public ledger that registers all the transactions, and you get what we call miners. And the miners are independent people that are getting paid to verify those transactions, that this is actually a part of a Bitcoin that's been sent on the blockchain. This Bitcoin was produced at a certain date at a certain time.
Okay, because I noticed I've done a few little transactions, and I noticed that when you send it from one wallet to another wallet, but it's like suspended. while it's confirming. And then it sort of says, okay, 12 confirmations need to be done. And it says 3 confirmations. And you sit there and you wait up to an hour for the thing to actually confirm it before it actually appears in your other wallet. So that's what you're talking about here.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now, is it a good time to buy Bitcoin right now? And if not, when is a good time to buy Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash or other cryptocurrencies?
Well, I had a good smile the other day when you told me you bought some, because what happens is every coin, every currency, even the Dow Jones and the S&P that we watch on a daily basis have their cycles. So when people say, I'm buying this coin, then I'm saying, no, hang on a second, where did you get this information? Well, my brother, my sister told me that I need to buy it and it's going up. And in 2017, anyone that bought Bitcoin in 2017 December knows exactly what I'm talking about, and they're getting these bad emotions that are where I was telling my traders, it's almost time to sell. We need to sell soon. Yeah. All the other guys are just buying, and so it's definitely not the season, the time to buy Bitcoin right now. We first have to wait for the drop to finish. Then, 2 weeks ago, I was telling my traders there has to be a drop that's falling because the market moves in cycles.
Yeah.
And if the cycle, and this is one of what makes, I don't say that I'm the best teacher trader, but what makes what we teach different to all the other people is we study market cycles. I mean, even the Bible talks about the moon and the stars in Genesis 1:14-17 about the times and the seasons will be given to you in the stars and the moon. So what we are seeing now, and your major religions of the world will understand what I'm talking about. The ones that studied the cycles is that March and September are the worst times of the year for any stocks, for almost any currency to buy. So you want to wait until near the end of March when the markets have dropped to the bottom, and the end of September, and we're going to see some big market crashes this year.
Right. Okay. But where are we here? Okay. Are there other cryptocurrencies that are equal or better than Bitcoin? And I just have to put in my pound of flesh here. I mean, look, I'm a noob. Okay, I've been fiddling around with crypto now for probably a week. Okay, so I'm really new to this. But what I've noticed is that if Bitcoin goes up, Bitcoin Cash, which is the Bitcoin I've got a little bit in, it actually goes up at a faster rate than Bitcoin. And then when it comes down, it's sort of like an inverse of that. It is, and I've noticed that even if Bitcoin is coming down, Ethereum, for example, might still be going up. So they seem to be all over the place when it comes to going up and going down. Why is that?
Well, I don't know if you've ever been to an African village, but if I can give you the scenario, because I don't think there's a better way I can explain this. But because Bitcoin, if you go to an African village and you know somebody there that you want to visit, when you enter the village, come past the chief, and then you get to the home where you're going to visit. Then you go and speak to the grandma or the grandpa first. You first introduce yourself and tell them who you are, and then once they've happy that you're in the home, then they will allow the other person, the youngster that you're coming to see, to be part, to converse with them.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much where Bitcoin is it's actually one of the, and I'm saying this with all respect, it's one of the worst cryptocurrencies as far as when you start analyzing and breaking down what it does and how it does it. I mean, it's the most expensive one.
Yeah,
it hasn't been expensive. It hasn't been the most expensive. In the last few months, we've been having coins that have become 3-4 times more expensive than Bitcoin because So
is that because of the mining? the fees?
No, it's because of the DeFi, the decentralized finance space that we're going into, and the world markets basically ready to crash, and you're having a space from. Remember, banking means I have systems, I have computers, I've got shops, I've got people coming in and out of.
Yeah.
You've got a whole system that's costing so much money versus an electronic system that has a blockchain and knows everything, and so virtually cost free. So people, at the end of the day, when you look at your bank costs every month, what your bank's costing you, people will rather move to a more electronic, more trusted system. So coming back to what Bitcoin is and what if there's better currencies, yes, there's a whole lot of cryptocurrencies. So if your dad was a mechanic and you become a mechanic, your child, your son also becomes a mechanic. You'd probably be a better mechanic than your dad eventually because of the technology and the stuff that's changed. You don't need to spend so much time doing what the mechanics did 10 or 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So the same with the coins like Chainlink and Cardano, Ethereum. They have multi-purposes, they have multi-functionality in the world. And I mean, so one of my friends told me that Absa Bank in South Africa was using Ethereum, and I know Standard Chartered across the world is using XRP. So there's a lot of banks that are already using cryptocurrency to either transfer funds or back up their data and their clients' information.
Now, you've mentioned XRP a couple of times, and Garnet says, I really hope XRP is discussed tonight. Now, you made a statement. You said people who got XRP hang on to it like it's gold dust, and it doesn't matter what the price is. What's so special about XRP? Why is that coming out tonight?
No, I wouldn't buy XRP at all. And I'm going to give you several reasons besides my own losses on XRP. If you look at XRP's graphs over the last 6-8 years, you'll see it's probably had 3 or 4 bull runs. So as a trader, so when I talk about what the functionality of XRP, so I'm not talking about functionality of XRP, I'm just talking about simple trading as an investor's tool. And I mean, I'm not a financial advisor, and everything I'm saying, you guys must just, you must go and do your own homework and test everything that I'm saying.
No, I just want to add to that. What Real has just said is critical, guys. We are talking about Bitcoin, trading and all that sort of shit. But don't take any advice that you might see as advice on board. You have to do your own research. We are not here to be advisors. Well, I'm certainly not. I'm a noob. But Real is not here to give you financial advice so you make an investment. He's giving you his experience, and you have to do your own hard yards to decide what to do. Sorry, back to you, Real.
Absolutely, Scott, 100%. Because with everything you mentioned, I have a good and a bad side to it. Everything, I mean, everything in the world today that's presented, it's presented like the tree of knowledge of good and evil. There's a good side and there's a bad side. So the good side of XRP is that MoneyGram and Western Union and banks like Standard Chartered have been using it to transfer funds across the world. And it's a lot faster than SWIFT, because SWIFT takes between 5 and 7 days to transfer. If you're using XRP, it's a matter of a few minutes. And the fund, and then obviously the transaction cost is a lot less. So if you're going to send a transaction across the world, you'd rather use Cardano or Dogecoin or XRP, because it's going to cost you virtually nothing. But as an investor looking at XRP with 100 billion coins in the market, I mean, Bitcoin will only be 21 million. If you've got an oversupply of coins, I mean, we had this bull run recently where everyone said we're going to pump it to $1, and they didn't even get like two thirds of the way, and the guys just started dumping onto the market. So I
Yeah.
mean, you've got too many coins in supply. So how can you ever have a bull market on it?
Right. Okay. Now, how do Bitcoin and stock markets relate to each other?
A very interesting question, because I've realized over the years, being an avid Bitcoin cryptocurrency fanatic, that I needed to also watch the stock markets. And for the last year, not just the stock markets, but commodities like silver and gold. And I found that the Dow Jones, especially the S&P 500. The S&P 500 and Bitcoin actually do the same thing. They dance together. And so if you watch the S&P, you know exactly what's happening with Bitcoin, and vice versa.
But you would think that they would go in opposite directions, because if the S&P is crashing, you'd think they'd be putting their money into crypto.
Yes, but what is happening at the moment is that there's like $3 trillion of money being printed in the last few months in America, and some of it goes into the stock market, and a lot of it goes into Bitcoin. And of course, when you look at the ratio that the dollar depreciated to gold and silver last year, March to September, and Bitcoin March to September, you'll see the same correlation happens every time. But Bitcoin has a 4-year cycle. So even though you'll see the sameness in the S&P and the stock markets, you will also notice that if you take the stock markets and the graphs, and maybe in our next session, I will actually do some comparisons studies for you. It actually just proves to you how the rand, the US dollars, and all fiat currency is actually depreciating against the proper currencies of the world, like Bitcoin, gold, and silver.
Well, I have to tell you that it's such a rush when you do the right investment, even if it's by sheer chance, like it was for me when I was buying all these old silver coins, and in 1979, Bunker Hunt tried to corner the silver market. And the price of silver was rising like $1 a day, and it went right up to $50. And I used to rush into the office, because we got a newspaper in the morning, and I'd go to the page where the silver price was. This is how backward things were. I mean, this is price from the day before. And I said, oh, look, it's got up another $1. Yeah, it was such a rush. So, it's great to be on the coattails of something that's just going up in value. I know exactly what that's all about. Now, I've been buying a couple of Bitcoin Cash coins. Okay, they seem to move with Bitcoin and have lower fees. Which is the best option, the crypto option, for someone who wants to just start, just put a few rand into crypto, have a bit of a play, take it from one wallet to put it into another wallet, and then put it back in, so he gets a basic understanding of the actual concept?
Well, right now, I would buy a digital fiat currency like US dollar Tether until the markets have finished dropping, because we don't know when they're going to finish dropping. Last year, if you take a graph of last year, we had the markets going up until like the 15th of February, and then they came crashing right onto what they call the equinox in March, and then they started rising again.
Yeah.
So I would get myself into a crypto wallet at least, because you see, I think this is probably the most difficult part of training. And I said to my wife the other day, you're going to do all this training because it takes time. People, 95% of the people that getting themselves involved in crypto often have no clue what they're doing, and they lose money. And I shudder when I see people doing this, because they go and buy Bitcoin when the price is sky high. So definitely, if you want to go into this right now, don't go and buy Bitcoin unless you're an investor, long-term kind of thinker, because by May, June, Bitcoin would probably be around 60 $70,000, and by the end of this year, it's probably going to be about 100, 120, 150,000 US dollars, and that's not going to be even that's conservative numbers.
Now, hang on, just what you've said there. I just need to explain to people watching what Roel has just said there. Currently, Bitcoin's about 45,000 for a coin. He's talking about a return of about 150% on every dollar that you put in by the end of the year if the predictions happen. That's a huge return, even if you just sit on the damn thing.
Well, as a South African, when I bought Bitcoin, I actually, after a year of trading, I used a different exchange, and I went onto my trade history the other day, and I bought Bitcoin when it was 3,500 Rand a Bitcoin.
Wow.
Now the price of Bitcoin is around 750,000 Rand a Bitcoin. So somebody said to me today, somebody phoned them because he's hosting me on a local radio show, and he said, somebody said, prove that you can make money with this. I said, just show him the graphs.
Yeah.
If I'd kept all the Bitcoin that I bought that time, I'd probably be multi-millionaire today. But none of us think of that. We need to cover expenses, and then we spend our valuable assets.
But the money you're making on Bitcoin is like an income, because it's just going up and up and up. I mean, and look, it makes sense when you think about it, because the world is in such a mess, and people are worried about what's happening with their fiat currencies, especially with the Rand. There are a lot of people in South Africa saying, whoa, we've just been pushed down to junk status by all the rating agencies. The Rand is just set to collapse. How can I keep the value of my money? And look, you may be way off with your predictions at $120,000 per Bitcoin when it currently is 45,000. I'm talking $120,000 by Christmas or December. But even if it goes half that way, wow, what an investment.
Scott, I spent the best of 5 years in Zimbabwe. And what I realized when I looked at the Bitcoin price, and this was it was 2003 to 2008 that I was there. It was one of the worst times. I mean, if you've ever seen a depression or a recession, you needed to be in Zimbabwe, because that was like the worst. And people think, oh, but how can Bitcoin be so valuable? It's not about how valuable Bitcoin is. It's how depreciating all the currencies have become. We saw a drop in the Rand of 39% last year from March to September, March to July. And then I went and drew a graph from 1972 when I was born till now. And that graph it looks like the Dow Jones going up and up and up. So it doesn't matter which government it was, no one has managed. In fact, in March 1982 was the last time the Rand and the US dollar was 1-on-1. But the current rate that it's going up, we would probably see 80 Rand to one US dollars by 2025.
Wow. Yeah, look, and your Bitcoin then would probably be about $100,000. No, let me get this right. It would probably be $1 million by 2025 per Bitcoin.
I'm predicting that Bitcoin would be probably around 4.5 million Rand by the end of this year.
Wow.
To one Bitcoin.
Okay, and guys, look, once again, these are predictions. This is not saying you got to invest, but there's no harm in putting some money into it. Let's put it that way. Okay, which brings me to the next question. Should a person buy gold, silver, or Bitcoin, or should they buy a combination?
I did some online seminars for the best part of 6 months on gold and silver with some colleagues of mine, and it was a very interesting debate because the end of the day, Bitcoin is, if you don't store your Bitcoin, that's another subject on its own. If it's not safe, then what's the use of having Bitcoin? I think of guys losing their hard drives and storing a Bitcoin on their computers and stuff. So and keeping gold and silver in your house or keeping it in a vault, how safe is that? And there's always risk to be taken whenever you buy anything. But if we go and look at, as a trader's point of view, somebody that says, what gives me the best return? You mentioned that Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin goes up at this speed, but Bitcoin Cash goes up a lot faster.
Yeah.
And that's how you compare gold to silver. We saw gold double its price in 5 years and silver double its price in 5 months.
Yeah.
So I've got a formula. If you watch the over the last 3 stock market crashes, you will see a pattern that gold and silver do. And what silver does is silver grows more rapidly for returns than gold. So in other words, if you bought silver, 1 ounce of gold in March last year, and you sold it in July, you probably made 20, 30, 40%. You would have made 40% in dollar value. If you bought silver in July, you would have paid $11.70, and if you sold it, it went to almost $30 in July, September, August last year. So if you take the ratio of returns, then you would have been able to take the silver, sell it, and buy almost three ounces of gold. So when you start looking at the numbers and you say, all right, what gold are you buying? Remember, if you buy the Kruger Rand, you can't leave the country with the Kruger Rand. They will confiscate it at the airport. So you need a written report from the Reserve Bank to remove the gold Kruger Rands. So Kruger Rand, and if you go back to the 1960s, 1970s, when the American government actually withdrew the gold coins, you had to give it back to the government. So there's that risk, unless you're willing to, you want to hide it and you want to sell it on the black market and stuff. So there's always that risk.
That they removed gold back in 1932, I think it was, under Roosevelt. And what they did was they paid out, I think it was $13 an ounce, and then they immediately revalued it after the expiry to something like double the price, to everybody's chagrin.
Yeah. So Kruger Rand, and then you must also remember that the Kruger Rands aren't 100% gold anymore. They are 90% gold and 10% copper. So
what?
You look at, yes.
So
Google
and there's still an ounce, are they?
It's an ounce, yeah.
That's crazy.
So so that's why I love education. I like to tell people, here's your options, you make your own decision, because and then the silver coins are just so much more valuable, because let's say there's an economic crisis that comes, and the silver coin, the South African rands, is about 550, 600 rand you pay for a silver coin. If there's an economic crisis, you can go with that to the shop and buy groceries. Yeah. But you can't go with a Kruger Rand to the shop. How are you going to get
you buy the shop. Look, I have to tell you, Roel, that I've got hundreds of tikkies. I've got hundreds of sixpences. I've got hundreds of shillings and crowns. And the reason I did that is exactly what you're talking about. I can go to a shop with a tikkie and go and get a loaf of bread. Because it's got about a gram of silver in it.
You see, this is something very interesting, because it was a 1929 or 1935 tikkie that's worth 100,000 rand.
No, it's a 1931. 1931
you can
tikkie.
See the date on it, because the dates are so, and the tikkies were all 80% silver.
Up until 1951, then and 1952 on, they're 50%.
Yeah, and then all the old 1 rand coins, which pre 1977, are also 80% silver.
Yeah, exactly. and they're a great little investment. But you know, when you go back to the most expensive South African coin, it's actually a Boer 1898 sovereign or pound or pont, which has a 9 stamped over the 8. There's only one of them, and that sold a few years ago for R1,000,000. That one coin, R1,000,000. Think about it. Anyway, we're talking about collectors. We're not talking about investing.
Yes.
Well, I guess we are talking about investing.
I would buy some of each.
Yeah.
I would definitely want silver in my possession. In any case, a lady phoned me the other day. She said, I just bought silver from this company and they're going to store it in the vault, and I don't know these people. And so, I mean, it's a legit company because I know the people.
Yeah.
But somebody that says I bought silver on the stock market, they haven't bought silver.
They got paper.
They're buying ETFs and all this stuff. So
it's paper.
Here's something that you folks need to remember. Whether you buy gold or silver on the markets, they allowed 100 certificates for every ounce that they sell.
Wow. So you're actually not buying gold. I always say to people, you've got to actually have the physical gold, the physical silver in your possession. That's the safest way. That's the only way. Now,
well,
okay.
there is a company in South Africa, a crypto company, that you can buy gold and silver and leave it on the exchange, and you can withdraw it, or you can sell it digitally and withdraw the money to your bank.
Yeah.
So our world has moved a little bit faster forward with crypto than the normal banking system. And the banking system is outdated right as I'm speaking.
Yeah. And I hate the banks. I think everybody does. Now, this brings me to a very important issue, because if someone's going to go into Bitcoin, they've got to understand, like with everything else in the world today, there are scams. So how do you identify a Bitcoin scheme or scam? And I'm talking about, for example, what happened in South Africa with MTI.
Well, I've got so much information, but I'm going to only share little bits and pieces of it, because it would go on all night and it probably cause a storm in a teacup. But whenever you look at, let's rewind back to when I was a child. My mom and dad said that you would never be able to work with your money. You'd never be able to handle money. So you need to take your money to the bank, put it there, and they gave you a little book and they stamped it and they wrote your name and they said this is how much and if you withdrew, then you did the same. You got a little stamp and you withdrew the money. So you have to entrust your life to someone else. And for this has had for years and years. So if you're giving your money to a company to look after you in your old age, I mean, I don't see any fault in that, but people are starting to question that, because a friend of mine said to me the other day, a reputable, very well-known company in South Africa was supposed to pay him 3 million out, and they said, we can only pay you 600,000. What do you say to that? So anytime you give your money or you entrust your life, money to someone else, then you are leaving you are subject to a scam or being scammed.
Right. And we're not saying everybody is a scam artist, but there are a lot of them out there.
My wife and I got involved with a stock fell like 7-8 years ago, and the whole thing fell flat. And we said to each other, that's it. We are not going to get involved in anything that we give our money to someone else. And I'm going to learn to trade, and I'm going to teach other people to trade too. And trading isn't easy. It's not for everybody. And I agree with that concept. But if you had bought one Bitcoin in 2015 for 3,500, 4,000 Rand, you would have been 800,000 Rand right now if you just kept it. You didn't need to trade it. You just bought it and you held it.
Just sit on it.
Yes. So when it comes to schemes, there's always somebody that says, I will make your money more.
Yeah.
Now, when you go and do all the calculations, when they say we're going to pay you 0.25 or whatever they're paying you per day, that is already a scam, because no trader makes the same amount of money every day.
Yeah.
Given some days we lose money, some days we don't even trade because the markets are so dangerous. And these guys are just pushing numbers out every single day.
Yeah.
And so that's where the problem comes. If you took the amount of bitcoins that they had at the rate they were paying, that they were producing, then they would have had all the bitcoins in the next few years, and nobody in the world would have had bitcoins. So, and they would have paid so much bitcoin out, and how would they have any bitcoins to pay? So the calculations didn't make any sense.
Right. Now, you said to me the other day when we talked on Skype that anyone with credibility who is a trader in anything, including Bitcoin, who suggests that they've never lost money in a trade is a bullshitter. Now, tell us about that, because I get it. I agree. You know, sooner or later you're going to be losing money because you do the wrong thing at the wrong time. So if someone says to you they've never lost money with a trade, you know that they're a bullshitter. Just add to that.
Okay, so I'm gonna mention any names. I don't want to tramp on any toes, because I know this is a very, very sensitive subject that we're actually talking about now, and there's people and stuff involved. Actually, it goes to a much deeper level when we go analyze it deeper. When you are in this game, you get information, and the information coming through is you get a message from someone you know. And you know that it's the wrong time of the year for this person to be trading. You know that they're losing money. And then you hear that other people are also signing up with this scheme. And you can't go and tell those people, oh, but by the way, this guy's losing money. You shouldn't be paying money to the scheme. So all of us traders know that there's certain days, certain months. We actually go much deeper with our trading. We follow moon phases and all of that. Cycles and moon phases have huge impact on our markets. And when we know that these people are trading every single day, we know they're losing money. And I heard a trader the other day, and he was just outspoken, honest, and he was showing all his profits, and he said, September, I lost 12%. Now, imagine one company, I'm not going to mention the name, loses 566 Bitcoin in one trade.
Wow.
How do you get that right, Scott? I'll tell you. They're trading derivatives, ETFs, binary, all of that leverage trading stuff. That's where the problem comes. Because if you've been trading Forex, you can't trade a spot one-on-one, one-to-one trading anymore. You are betting on the price. You're going 1 to 25, 1 to 100, and you're either making big money or losing big money.
That sounds like an ETF.
It's ETFs. They were trading ETFs.
Oh, wow. On Bitcoin.
Yeah, so with Bitcoin, if you're trading the normal markets,
I didn't know
and
you
you
could
say
do
you've got a stop loss minus, if it drops 5%, then you get out. At least you know you lost 5% on your value. Tomorrow you make it up because it goes 7 or 10% up again. So this is the biggest problem. These guys are big. You go in big, you lose big.
Yeah. Wow. 566 Bitcoin in one trade. Wow, that's huge. So let's move on. Everyone's opinion is different when it comes to the markets. How do we know what is right?
It's everybody's experience is different. Everybody's education is different. And it's like when you go to an IT guy and you say, what do you do? He says, I do IT. And then you say, no, man, be specific, because I used to challenge IT guys and say, all right, help me install my modem on my computer, because I was good at that. And he said, no, I don't do that. That's not my avenue. So whenever you talk about markets, everybody might has to be a specialist in a field, and they love to study a field. So what I say to people is, look at the market cycles. If you want to look at one of the greatest traders that ever lived in the 1920s, 1930s, William Gann. He went and studied planetary cycles, moon phases, and everything, and he even predicted the stock market crash. He also lost a lot of money because the bank that he'd put all his money in closed one day, and he lost everything.
Wow.
And the admission that he made was, like every trader, I mean, if you've been a trader for a while, you've had humbling experiences in your life. You've come down to the lowest. So if you're a trader and you just big talk all the time, then I don't even listen to those people. I don't even have a conversation with them because they haven't traded. They're probably still on a demo account, you know, and demo. and this guy said that the mistake that he made was that he overtraded. He kept on trading, and as a result, he lost his money. And then he reflected and he said, I didn't give the time to my family when I should have.
Right.
So when it comes to trading, what we teach differently to what most other trading schools do is we teach people to watch the days, the moon phases, the cycles, watch religious holidays, watch public holidays, watch American holidays, Catholic holidays, Hindu, Muslim, Jewish holidays. All of those have huge effects on our markets.
Right. Okay, now, how is blockchain doing good or evil in this current world?
Well, blockchain isn't a human being, so it's like any device or anything that you've got.
Yeah.
It's like having a knife. Is a knife good or bad? Yes, it's both. It depends on in whose hands it is. So that's actually where, when we talk about blockchain, in the right hands, we've got development, we're going now over to artificial intelligence. There's good to artificial intelligence, and there's bad also to artificial intelligence. So if you watch Elon Musk and he challenges it, he likes it, but he challenges it also. So the same with blockchain. Blockchain is bringing a trustless world. So when we talk about Bitcoin, if somebody tells me they've joined something and they've used Bitcoin, then I say, you don't understand what decentralization means. Well, yeah, I do. It's, decentralized. Now, if you decentralize means you are in control. You have your funds. You own the private keys.
Right.
That is what blockchain is about. Blockchain is about having. We've even got blockchain browsers at the moment, like the Brave browser. You don't even need much antivirus on your computer because it's busy blocking all the adverts. I mean, how irritating is it when you go onto YouTube and you've got an advert every 3 minutes?
I use ad blocker. I use ad blocker, and I recommend to everybody watching, you've got to starve Google of cache, and ad blocker is a very powerful way to do that because it blocks all their ads popping up the whole time. Yeah, please, back to you, Will.
Yeah. So the world of blockchain is bringing about a big change in the world that is saving us money and saving us time, because these are the two biggest problems in the world today. If you can save money and save time, you got business.
Yeah. Now, Bitcoin, obviously, because of its size, has been used for illegal transactions. Now, what areas is Bitcoin being used illegally?
A few years ago, when I attended my first blockchain conference in 2015 in Johannesburg, there was a guy from the FBI, United States, and he actually spoke about the Silk Road case. For those who know, the Silk Road was a guy that started up, selling anything illegal on the dark web, and he used Bitcoin for the transactions, and they got a team of FBI agents that managed to find his IP address, and then once they got the IP address, they found the Bitcoin addresses that he was sending Bitcoin to and from, and they nailed him. Bitcoin is the worst thing in this world to do illegal transactions with, because it's even though it's private and but it's not altogether. I mean, it's on every transaction is visible on the blockchain. So if they can find, that you used a certain address, then they can see how many transactions you did and how big the size is. But there are people that are doing illegal transactions and they get caught.
Yeah. Now, just on the IP addresses, if you have a VPN or a virtual private network, in other words, your IP is shown as somewhere where you're not, can the FBI still track you down?
I think it would be much harder. Now, if we're talking about the world we are in now versus 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, we're totally in a different world. So now it would be a lot more difficult to actually, but remember, Bitcoin transactions are still way expensive. I mean, we're talking about 320, 350 Rand a transaction. I mean, why would anyone want to send, if you want to send somebody $100, then you've got to send them $450 to. I mean, so there are better ways of the privacy coins. There's a lot of privacy coins where once you've done the transaction, then it disappears off the blockchain. So there's no record of that history.
Transaction. Yeah. Now, I noticed that when I bought, let's say, Bitcoin Cash, the price was, let's say, $480 for Bitcoin Cash. But when I actually paid that $480, instead of getting one, I got like 0.95 something. So someone's taking a fee somewhere. And then when I sold that Bitcoin Cash, the reverse of that happened. So again, I was a loser with a fee, and it was about 5% of the value. Is that how it works when it comes to buying and selling Bitcoin through your wallet?
Scott, this is why education is so important. That's why we want to have people put here's the menu, here's all the options, and here's the prices. And yet, there's different exchanges. In South Africa, there's about 10 or 12 different cryptocurrency exchanges, and their fees are very wide from one to the other. And I mean, anything from 0.35% to 0.5% per transaction. So the end of the day, when you look at your transactions and you say, all right, should I be on this exchange? Am I thinking short term? Am I thinking long term? Because the fee that you pay, if you bought it the right time and the price went up to 50, 100% of its value, then it wouldn't make a difference.
Yeah. Well, I have to say that from a purely financial aspect, I'm now looking very seriously at trading in Bitcoin when we actually get donations for charities and things like that, because we're cutting the banks out completely. And Marlena is also getting a Bitcoin wallet, and she's going to learn how to use it. And what we'll be doing is we'll be making payments from anywhere in the world. We'll try and get someone who's got Bitcoin in that particular country, who can take the donation, pay it in Bitcoin across, totally bypassing the banks, and that way maximizing the return for the charity. Because we found that we can lose up to 15% of the value of the donation once it goes through the banking system, which is absolutely ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. And that's why we've created an education system over the last 6 years to help people like you and Marlena to put the menu on the table and say, this is what you think that you want to create. There are even better systems in place than that right now.
Yeah, well, that's something we can talk about later. Okay, where should you keep your Bitcoin? You talked about centralized wallets and decentralized wallets. Now, clearly a decentralized wallet is the safest one because it's yours on your computer and no one has any access to it. But can you explain to everybody, where should you keep your Bitcoin?
It obviously depends on are you going to hold it for a short, medium, long term, or you want to trade with it. So let's just explain this in simple terms to people that have never done this before. If you are buying, let's say you're South African and you go on to, you get a broker. We don't have brokers with cryptocurrency trading at all. If you go to a broker and you say, I want to trade with $1,000 or $500, and then you put your money in there and you buy dollars with rands. The moment you want to withdraw, you have to withdraw rands. You can't withdraw dollars. If you buy in gold or silver, you only withdraw the currency that you use to buy it. So you actually never own the currency. If you buy in Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, you actually own that. You can withdraw that to a flash disk on your computer. You obviously have to set that up with what we call a nano ledger wallet, and it's a wallet that you've got to set up, and you can keep a backup on your flash disk and put it away, and then you own it there. But if you want to trade with it, you obviously have to then keep it on an exchange where you can make it more, and then take parts of that and put it onto your wallet. So those are the two main options that we are talking about.
Now, the centralized wallet is the one that you're talking about, where you can actually go and trade directly into different cryptocurrencies, et cetera, and put money into your bank. And the one that you put on the USB stick is the decentralized one because it's in your own personal care.
Yes, okay. That's right.
Now, the danger of the decentralized one, and I've heard some horror stories, is where people lose their cell phone, for example, and everything's on there, and those 12 words that you've got to have, they've forgotten so they basically lost that crypto. There must be a huge amount of loss of crypto by people who have it on a decentralized wallet, and then they lose something which has got that information.
Well, Scott, that's why, people lose a lot more money, I think, going into the crypto world than they go into the stock market world, because stock market world is regulated and there's always
there's a track
some
record.
kind of, yes. With crypto, people go in, they go and open a wallet and they open an exchange, they open a wallet there, and 5 days later somebody wipes it out clean for them. One of my guys phoned me the other day. He had a Yahoo wallet. I mean, Yahoo is like the worst. I've had so many people sending me hacked, because they've been hacked so many times.
Yeah.
And they got into his account. So we have what we call Google Authenticator. We got authentication systems in place that we help the person create backups of. So if you got a private key for your nano ledger wallet, you're not going to just say, oh, well, I'm going to remember it, I'm going to keep it digitally. You actually have to write it down.
Yeah.
And you have to give your wife or your husband or someone you trust, say, you're going to keep this for me. So there's simple backup systems. I mean, if your computer gets stolen or crashes or something, you cry about the computer, but you're more interested in the data that you've lost, as a result. And most people don't think of backups. They don't do backups.
Yeah.
They just want to get in and get out, do the job. Nothing. I mean, while you're sleeping, your computer can be doing backups.
Yeah. Now, there's one thing that I noticed with the centralized wallet, and that is that, you've got to have your password, your email address, and your password to actually go in. But before it allows you to do anything on your account, it sends a 4-digit number to your mobile phone. So that 4-digit number, until you've actually put it in to the slot that comes up on the screen, it won't allow you any access at all. Now, I think that's an absolutely brilliant idea, because if someone in, let's say, Russia hacks into your centralized wallet, there's no way they can use it, because you've got your mobile phone. As soon as they try and get in, you get by email a message saying, hey, we notice you've just logged into your wallet. And of course, the person who's trying to hack it doesn't have that 4-digit number. So correct me if I'm wrong, that means that they're totally stymied. They can't do anything with that wallet.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right.
Yeah, I think that's an absolutely brilliant idea. So basically the wallet, unless they steal your mobile phone and your mobile phone is not password protected, they've got no chance of touching the contents of your centralized wallet.
That's right.
Right. Okay. Now, what is Yellen? This is a question that one of my subscribers, or the Loving Life family, sent me. They said it's apparently backed by silver.
Well, a few years, 3 years ago, we got involved in 2 different projects, both backed by gold. And both of those projects failed. So I always want to say, if someone else is in control of your funds, be careful that they are holding your funds. So what I tell the people is, I introduce them to the crypto. If they're South Africans, I introduce them to a cryptocurrency exchange where they can buy gold and silver off, and they can keep it there, or they can withdraw it there, or they can even deposit their coins to that exchange, and you can sell it digitally anytime. Whenever you have, and I've seen 120 different gold-backed cryptocurrencies in the last 3 years.
Wow.
So there's nothing new under the sun, like Solomon said.
Well, I have to ask you a question related to that. Am I correct in thinking that if fiat money fails, then the only crypto that will be tradable are those backed by physical gold and silver, because the actual fiat money side will be worthless?
Well, I don't think a person needs to go to the extreme where it says your money is worthless. I just think it would, if I'll give you an example. I arrived in Zimbabwe. Actually, as a child, we went there several times, and we saw how the currency deteriorated. And the Zimbabweans are the most awesome people. If you ever want to live in a nice, peaceful country, you need to go to Zimbabwe. But one man controlled the minds of several other people. And when I actually did some homework, I actually found that most people that were living there were family of him. So that's why they didn't want to stand up against him. So when I arrived in Zimbabwe in 2003, we got 160 Zim dollars to 1 rand. And when I left in 2008, we got 3 million Zim dollars to 1 rand.
Wow.
So I don't think that, unless there's the financial reset and all of that, I think we are way off from that. You can't just say, and I get what you're saying when you say it falls flat.
Well, I've got 100 trillion. I've got 100 trillion Zim dollar in my hand on the screen right now. I'm a trillionaire. I'm a trillionaire.
Well, if you think what you paid for those dollars, and you went and put them in a nice frame or a folder, and you sold them on eBay, you could probably make quite a lot of money out of that. So maybe there's an opportunity.
But I am a trillionaire, so I demand respect.
Yes. Well, I mean, that's why we gave Robert Mugabe so much credit, because no country created as many millionaires and billionaires and trillionaires in a short period of time as this.
I saw street vendors with tons of these things. They must have made Bill Gates look like a pauper, even though they had no shoes on.
He did promise that he'd get the people on their feet, and we always saw them walking everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, now let's get cut to the chase, because you're a trader. You're not someone who sits on crypto. You trade crypto, and you know what you've been doing. You've been doing it for years. Tell us about the courses you offer people who are looking at using their crypto investment to make bigger bucks quicker.
All right, so we're coming back to the very first statement that you made about two kinds of people. And at the end of the day, there's different people with different mindsets, different strategies. So when somebody comes to me and says, I want in on crypto, then I will ask them, are you in for short term, medium term, long term? And depending on that, I will give them a course accordingly. So 80% of the guys that come for courses, they say, I want to learn crypto. Then I say, well, I've got 3 courses. In fact, I had 6 courses. I compressed them into 3 courses, beginners, intermediate, and advanced course. And basically, once you enter the course, you get all the online material that you can start going through. And then we host the courses every 2 weeks. Once you've done the course online, you attend what we call a trade-athlon. So you're going to sit for 6 to 8 hours with me over a period of 2-3 days and sit and trade together with me. So we're going to actually do live trades together. Thereafter, the person gets put on a signals group where you can get daily updates on what the market is doing. So we take people through the phases. If somebody says, no, I just want to go into this, I'm in for the medium long term, then what we do is we help them open the wallets, help them open their own wallets, get their own authenticators on, and then we put them on a WhatsApp group for 12 months. And we give them updates every week to tell them what is good, what we see is good, what is not good, what it's time to sell this, and so on. So that person doesn't learn to trade, they just know how to, okay, I need to sell this, I need to buy this. So they basically what we call Warren Buffetts, they investors.
Right. Okay. I'm just looking at the side chat, and apparently we've got a couple of Google police watching the live stream. Well, welcome to the live stream, Google. I hope you're enjoying and learning from Gruel, who's an expert in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. So if you haven't invested in them, here's something to consider. Okay, let's continue. Should you trade crypto?
That obviously depends on your appetite for risk, because with everything that you buy, there's a risk factor. Just like you look at cell phones. The easiest way to explain is cell phones, because everyone loves cell phones these days. So I watched this, the Samsung Note 10 Plus come out in 6-8 months ago, and price was 1,200 Rand a month, and then December it was like 499 a month, because the new model came out. And so that's every one of these cryptos have their cycles, and there's new ones coming out all the time.
Right.
So what I'm suggesting is, before you get involved in crypto, get educated. Learn from people that are in the space that can give you a level-headed answer to everything. If somebody says buy XRP, buy this, buy that, then don't listen to them, because they are just wanting to get you to buy it so that the price can go up so that they can sell it.
But in reality, that there are so many XRP out there that you'd have to buy a hell of a lot of them to make it move 1 cent. So it's not going to change things.
XRP has pushed so many coins into the market and given so many coins to charity, actually basically to bribe the market to use XRP, that I think there's at least 160 billion coins in the market, not just 100 billion.
That's crazy. That's about 20 coins for every single human on Earth. Now, How does Bitcoin trading differ from stock market or forex trading?
Well, Bitcoin trading, if you take the entry level stuff that we teach the people, because we don't want people to go leverage trading. I mean, you can go leverage trading on some of the exchanges, but it's so high risk. I have people that make a lot of money. They look like kings. They walk around like kings, and then for 6 months you don't see them. They're hiding under rocks. So we do the one-on-one trading. It's like when you do one of our courses, you can walk out there and be a retailer or wholesaler. So in other words, when Macro sees some of their stock isn't selling and the price, they sell it at the market price to get rid of it, and then they buy something else that's moving. So that is, if Bitcoin's price is 100,000, no, it's let's say it's 700,000 now, it's about 750, 740, and the price falls and you've bought one Bitcoin, nobody needs to buy a full Bitcoin. You can buy $10 of Bitcoin. You can buy $50 or $100. You can, as long as it's above, I think, $10. So you don't have to buy a full Bitcoin. But let's say you buy one Bitcoin at $45,000 and the price falls down to $42,000, and then you make the mistake by selling it lower than what you bought for. Then you've lost $3,000 on your Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So that is the old way of trading, and it's highly profitable, folks. If you think, and much safer than, I mean, let's put it this way: for those who've never done ETFs, leverage marketing, leverage trading, whatever, leverage and trading it's yes or no. It's not maybe or in between. It's like when you go on a date with someone and you say no or yes. There's no such thing in the real world. The real world operates like, all right, if you don't like if you bought a car and you paid 500 grand for it, and you drive it out around the block and your wife tells you no more car, she doesn't want that car, and you drive it back to the dealership, then the dealership gives you your money minus 30%.
Yeah.
So you're getting money back. With the stock markets, you will see last year one of the oil markets fell to minus $38.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That can't happen in the crypto space that we're in, because we can't go into the minus. In other words, you got to pay in because you lost.
Yeah.
So when you're trading, if I'm saying Bitcoin is $50,000 and it's going to 55,000, it's going to go 1% up. So I'm saying it's going to go 1%, and I go leverage trading, and I've got $10,000 in my account. If I go 1 to 100, I can only use $100, because if it goes down 1%, if it goes up 1%, I make 100 times my money. But if it goes down 1%, I lose 100 times my money that's in my account.
Yeah, that's a risk. Okay, I'm going to start putting some questions that are coming from the side chat, and then I've got a few questions to follow that. But okay, so Eddie says, where is my Bitcoin if the server is hacked?
Well, it depends on which server it is.
Yeah, I guess. And I guess if someone's hacked his computer, then his Bitcoin has gone. It's that simple.
Look, there's different places to store your Bitcoin. So if you say, let's say you've got a nano wallet, and your computer gets hacked and your wallet gets corrupted, then that is not the end of the world, because there's a backup of your Bitcoin on the blockchain, and the blockchain cannot be hacked. So if you have it and it's on the blockchain, and you've got it on your computer or on your wallet or somewhere, but there is a backup on the blockchain, then all you need is your private keys to access it again.
Right. Now, Richard Young has said, I tried crypto investing and was scammed. I lost more than 20,000 Rand. I hear lots of stories like this.
Well, that's what people think, that crypto is me buying Bitcoin and giving it to someone else. and that's not what crypto is. Crypto is created as a decentralized currency. So if you're being scammed, it's because you gave your cryptos to someone else and they
To look
promised you
after.
returns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eddie K says, can I print a statement for my Bitcoin account?
Yes. Yes. In most cryptocurrency exchanges, you can. There's a little button on your transactions, and you can actually click to download a CSV file with all your your trades that you did.
And that comes from the blockchain.
Well, no, the blockchain doesn't store that. That's just your
On your wallet.
your transactions.
Yeah.
If you want your wallet, you can take a screenshot of what you've got there. I'm
Right.
not sure exactly what the question is if it's trading related or just holding related.
Okay, now Lynn says, does our guest have a manual online for first timers?
Well, that's exactly what my wife and I did 6 years ago. Is we created a manual that people could come to us and do the training, but with all the trouble in the world and nonsense going on, we had to go online with everything. So everything we do that we teach is online, so that we do step by step, because a lot of times people jump into the deep end and then they haven't got their little, the little tube on, and so
Lifesavers on. They just sink like a stone. Yeah, got it. Okay. Johan van Heerden asks, Scott, can you ask him about Bitcoin mining? Now, we've talked about Bitcoin mining. That's basically where the validation process happens, isn't it? Where you make a transaction.
Yes. Well, there's going to be a few answers, because different people have different. It's like coming back to the elephant, where there's a whole lot of different blind people standing and holding different parts of it. So what they've experienced is what some people have miners in their garages that are running mining Bitcoins. Others join Bitcoin mining scams. I have YouTube video that I posted 2 years ago, and I told people, get out of any mining schemes that offer you returns every month, because they're going to take your money, and they did. Yeah. Not one of those Bitcoin mining schemes actually are around, and when you talk to the owners, they're just like, they back off. Yeah. But Bitcoin mining, if you want to get involved in that, it's a costly process. So for anybody to really get involved, you're going to think of at least $10,000 to $20,000 worth of mining equipment. You're going to need somebody to come and install it for you, and you're going to have to put it in a very air-conditioned facility. And yeah, there's a whole process.
And with load shedding in South Africa, you can forget it. Now, in China, I believe there are buildings which are just full of computers which are doing the mining.
Well, secretly, the Chinese government actually subsidizes the electricity for miners. And you can understand why they're doing that, because if you think that China is actually producing between 60 and 70% of all the world's Bitcoin every day.
Wow.
And put that in a dollar value, and you can think of how much funds are flowing into China as a result of Bitcoin mining.
Yeah. Okay, now let's move on. Eddie K says, you're in the middle of nowhere. The ATM is empty. There's no cash, but you have 3 million Bitcoin. How are you going to get fuel in your car?
That is the easiest question so far.
You're not.
You see, because I'm a techie kind of person, I love to find the shortcuts. I like to find the ways of doing things, the shortcuts and stuff. But obviously, it depends on if you got internet or not. So, I mean, we all need internet to shift money on a continuous basis. So you want to shift money or Bitcoin, you need internet. Right. And when we come back to the first question you asked about being illegal Bitcoin being illegal or moving illegal transactions, the best way to move illegally anything is plain cash, because it's a peer-to-peer transaction, and that's what Bitcoin is. If you've got a cryptocurrency wallet with cryptocurrency in it, and you move it to a local exchange which you registered with, it could take, from the time you move the Bitcoin, and I'm not suggesting send Bitcoin because it's too expensive, the transaction. Anyone that sends Bitcoin for transactions or to their bank is is not even thinking, unless they got so much that 350 Rand doesn't make a difference. But from the time you move the funds out of the exchange to the wallet that has a bank account, so you have a bank account linked to your local exchange, to the time you withdraw it with a near instant withdrawal, it's less than an hour. Yeah. I would say 10, 15 minutes sometimes.
Right. Now, will Bitcoin be a currency of the future?
It's already the future, and it's already a currency. It might not be acknowledged by the American government, but it is acknowledged by quite a few governments already across the world, and some governments are even considering paying people in salary in that. So it's to the South African government, it's not a currency, but the moment you move it into your bank account, then it's a currency. So
apparently Elon Musk and Tesla are accepting Bitcoin for payment of their electric cars.
I have a lot of admiration for Elon Musk, besides him being a South African, and besides we matriculating in the same year and 1.5 kilometers from each other's schools. But of course, he's an innovator, and he changes. He sees the future.
Yeah.
And of course, you can rebel against the future, whether you like it or not. The future is going to happen.
Yeah. Now let's move on. What possible coins should you be looking at to make a fortune in the near future? Well, and I've got my pen ready here.
There's actually quite a few coins besides Bitcoin itself. Let me give you. So as I mentioned earlier, Cardano, which is ADA on the exchanges, will have
CADONA, is it?
CARDANO.
Okay, yeah.
Ethereum is definitely, because there's at least 200 different cryptocurrencies running off the Ethereum network.
Right.
So it's totally undervalued currency at the moment. I would look at the coins like BAT token, which is Brave browser's backing. If you're on Brave browser, you'll see BAT token comes up, and a lot of the DeFi, decentralized finance coins, it's actually a backbone to that. Link or Chainlink, that's possibly a huge one for the future. In many aspects, Chainlink is probably 5 or 10 times better than Bitcoin.
Wow.
YFI, which was created by a South African guy in Cape Town, which went to 4 Bitcoins in its price within the first month of it, or first 2 weeks of it being launched. So anything that's on the YFI or the decentralized finance list could be quite good. And then you got coins like gaming coins, Engine, ENJ, and Sandbox, very, very good cryptocurrencies with a huge future. We've got cheap cryptocurrencies. So we spend a lot of time trading the cheaper penny stocks. As you've noticed, if Bitcoin goes up 2%, they go up 6%.
Right.
And obviously the inverse is also true. So you also need to know what your strategy is, and if you want to get out, like Tron, TRX, that's got quite a future. We heard Elon Musk talk about Dogecoin or Dogecoin, DOGE. Dogecoin was created as a charity coin. So, and there's the guy that created it actually ran away with a whole lot of it and disappeared. But I think he sees the potential in it. Lumen XLM, very, very nice coin. Aave, AAVE, Verge. There's quite a lot. But obviously, each one of them has their seasons and their cycles. So sometimes people buy into something and they buy into late, and then they've got to wait 3-6 months before the price goes up again. So we check the market cycles before you buy anything.
Right.
So there's just a short, the ones that strike me for future, for the next 6 months to 2 years.
Right. Okay. Now, what are the faults of Bitcoin? What are the trips and the traps of Bitcoin?
Well, it's like asking a husband about the faults of his wife. But a very valid question, because the first thing is Bitcoin transactions are slow. The blockchain is slow. So in other words, there's only a certain amount of transactions that can be done every minute. So if everyone decided that they want to send a Bitcoin transaction, it's like when you've got a pipeline running from Durban to Germiston with oil and petrol, and then you decide tomorrow you've got a hose pipe that you're gonna send it in. It's gonna take a long time for that. And that's exactly what the first problem with Bitcoin is, that the transactions, it can range anything from 10, 15 minutes to a day or two.
Wow.
Sometimes. Yeah. Depends on how busy the blockchain is. And especially when there's huge bull and bear markets, then it can take long, and exchanges have issues with sending the Bitcoin. The second thing is it's the most expensive cryptocurrency to send. I'm not going to say currency because it's not defined, but it's the most expensive. So it will cost you zero on most exchanges, 0.005 Bitcoin to send. And at the current Bitcoin price, I think it was about 340 Rand, which is about $20 and I'm not sure what the exchange prices are. So that's the second issue with Bitcoin.
Right.
The third problem with Bitcoin is what it was actually created for. It was created as like a coin for a peer-to-peer transaction. I want to give you money. I send you the money. You've got it. If you take all the latest cryptocurrencies and you look at Ethereum and DeFi and all these, Ethereum has a multi-layered, multifaceted network. There's voting. You can build apps on it. It's using its blockchain for hundreds of other cryptocurrencies. So when Bitcoin itself is only Bitcoin peer-to-peer transaction. So those three things in itself would probably put most people off Bitcoin. And besides, the fourth thing would be the price. If I would buy, you can look at any product that's been on the market for a while. When the new product gets launched, which is now the generic product, it's much cheaper than the original product because it's got to prove itself. But the new coins are few cents. Some of them are not even 1 US cent. Some of them are not even 1 South African cent in value. And they have faster blockchains. They're cheaper transactions. So Bitcoin is by far the most expensive cryptocurrency it's like it's the Rolls Royce.
Well, it's
so
the
why
most
would you buy a Rolls
established
Royce?
and it's got credibility.
That's why people buy it.
Yeah. Now, okay. So I want to just take a couple more questions from the side chat. Gavin Bowers says, what are the thoughts of an open source trading bot?
we are actually building a bot at the moment, and I realized after 6 years, 5 years of trading, I had a friend that we been working together with. But open source bot, there's a lot of open source bots at the moment, and there's that word open source is I can't even answer all the questions, because that I need to call a bot developer to actually answer that question. What I want to say about that is that don't even touch a bot unless you know how to trade, unless you've got the education, because it doesn't help you've got the tools, all the machines, but you don't know how to use them.
Yeah. Okay. Lynn F says, from whom do you buy Bitcoin? Well, that's a simple one. You've got to get your wallet. You've got to put some money into your wallet, and then you just buy it through the blockchain, don't you?
Well, what we've got an agreement with one of the local exchanges that has about 27 different cryptocurrencies.
Right.
And what we do is we sign them up with the exchange. We give them a link, and then they pay lesser transaction fees on the buys and sells. And the reason why this is happening in the world is just to encourage more people to get involved and put their feet in this. And then I've got a dedicated WhatsApp group if any issues with KYC and authentication and stuff gets. So that's the easiest thing. My wife and I, we on a daily basis, we help people get signed up with the local exchange. And first the question you need to ask, if some of you might have wallets already at local exchanges, but ask yourself, do they have a telephone number? Can you phone them?
Right.
Do they have an address that you can go and see them? If any of those two are no, don't touch them, because you don't know what's gonna. If they go down tomorrow, your funds are gone. So
okay, I just want to address a comment in the side chat. Mr. Coffee Breakers said at Peter Du Toit, know some people that lost their savings and houses that invested MTI. Just saying. Now, we have actually discussed this, and the MTI was a scam. It was a scam. And what happened there was people actually gave their Bitcoin to some other guy who's promised he was going to make returns for them. Now, what Rule has been saying right through this live stream is you do not do that. You maintain control of your own cryptocurrency. You do not give it to a third party. If you do, there's a wonderful old Afrikaans word. If you give it to a third party, you're a doos.
Well, yeah, I've got a dedicated WhatsApp group. So anyone that's done a course with me, and in any past year, they're on this group. And anytime when there's a scam around, I start posting messages on the group.
Right.
So I say, and you know what happens with these guys? They are so brainwashed. Sorry to say, I don't say that you brainwashed any of you. They're so brainwashed that they're making money on this thing that they actually leave the group. And yeah, they leave the group. And then I actually have predicted 3/4 of them when they were even Triple M. That was one of the first ones that took people's Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So people only associate Bitcoin to scams. They don't buy Bitcoin and keep it for themselves. We had people come visit us during December. They were also part of MTI. They put their whole pension in. Why would you do something stupid like that?
That's crazy.
I mean, that's like, and no, we're making money. And I said, guys, listen here, you're going to lose all your money. And if you haven't withdrawn already, you're not going to see. The next day, we heard this guy is out the country. Nobody knows where he is. I said,
he's in Brazil.
Say goodbye.
Apparently, he's in Brazil. Now,
I have a different story. I don't want to go there.
Okay.
But he was a friend of mine. He was one of my traders. He learned to trade from me.
Wow. Now, look, I'm going to start wrapping up the live stream very shortly, but am I correct in thinking that if fiat money fails, that the only crypto that will be tradable are those backed by physical gold and silver. Now, I think we've actually discussed that, so I'm going to let that one go. But unless you want to make a comment on that.
All right, so yes and no, because most people bought into fiat because there's a thought that it has value. And people's minds put a value to something. So if you believe that you need to be in lockdown, you're going to get the virus, you're going to do that, and that's your reality. If your belief system is in US dollars, you buy US dollars. So that's what's nice about crypto. You can buy into a digital US dollar, and as the rand depreciates, the dollar goes up. And we saw the digital dollar go up from 1490 to 1580 in the last few days. So people could have been making money digitally, and they can withdraw it without any brokers. You don't have to ask a broker. I mean, the brokers mess you around. No, keep it in longer, whatever. So I think that Bitcoin has been produced because machines' work was done. Money is there because of work done. And that's why Satoshi Nakamoto said we need miners running. And that is what's back. There was work done. In the future, work is going to be done. So if all these cryptos that I'm telling you about, if any of them fail, it's because the owners stopped making it work, stopped projects, and then people stop buying it, and then it fails.
Yeah. Now, look, I have to, I'm going to start wrapping up this live stream, but I have to tell you that I've been following Bitcoin now for years. And I first sort of started looking at Bitcoin when it was about $3,000. And I watched it go up to $19,000, and I was kicking myself. I thought, oh, I should have got into Bitcoin better. I was kind of, I didn't know how to. I didn't know about the wallets, and I didn't understand. So I just said, no, too hard. I'm going to leave it alone. And got up to 19,000. And then within literally a few weeks, it crashed down to about 7,000. And I thought, shit. Thank God I didn't invest in cryptocurrency. The actual, the way it fluctuates is just nasty. And then I just, people who know me on this, on my channel will know that I was saying, I'm not going to touch cryptos with a barge pole. And then Elon Musk put in $1.5 billion. And I thought, what? The richest man in the world. He's not a fool. He's obviously had a lot of people advising him about the future of cryptocurrencies. And that to me was a huge turning point, because it was like, clearly this guy would not be putting that amount of money into a cryptocurrency if it didn't have a future. But having said that, hasn't Elon Musk lost a huge amount of money because of the fall of Bitcoin since he bought?
Well, you see, Elon Musk, he's not educated. He knows about the potential. He sees what it does. I mean, Bitcoin is the last thing I would have bought as an educated person at the wrong time of the year. So when I heard he bought Bitcoin right at the peak, you don't buy, if you're a surfer, you don't get on the wave when it's about to crash. You get on the wave when it's at the bottom and you ride it. And we treat cryptocurrencies like girlfriends and boyfriends. If it's not working for you, if it's dropping, you dump it. You sell it. And that's what I teach every one of my
That's an analogy
traders.
I've never heard before.
Yeah, the guys, you'll see all the guys that are holding, like, I'm going back to XRP. Whether it goes up or down, especially if it goes down, no, we've got children, we've married, and this is a hectic relationship, but it's costing me money, but I'm holding on.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Now, I'm going to start wrapping up the live stream. Now, before I do, how do people contact you if they want to go on one of your training courses?
All right. So right away, we hadn't discussed it. Let them contact you or Marlena, and then put them in touch with us, and we will help them in the next 72 hours.
Right. Well, look, I'm going to suggest that people contact Marlena, because she's in South Africa. And
Yes.
Marlena's email is livestreams@lovinglifetv.com. I'll just put that in the side chat here. livestreams@lovinglifetv.com. Okay, and Marlena's in direct contact with Real, so she'll be able to put you in touch and take it from there. I think I got that right. Livestreams@lovinglifetv.com. Yeah, that's good. All right. Real, is there something you'd like to say to people who are sitting on the fence about getting involved in cryptocurrency? Because I know for me it was a leap of faith. I'm still playing with it. I'm still deciding whether I'm going to do it. But, you know, I'm quite excited by the concept because it does put my assets in a totally different type of investment. So if everything else goes pear-shaped, I've still got this. Over to you.
Get education. But one thing I've been teaching the people the last few weeks is that everybody has a certain limited amount of time in their life. And you can't buy back 1 second you've lost in your life. But you can make all the money back that you've ever lost and more, and triple and quadruple. So I'm saying spend your energy and your time on what's working and what's the future. Don't dwell in the past. Move into the future.
Right. And I've got to say from my side that I've put my foot in the water and I like it. I'm going to put not a lot of money into crypto, but I'm going to put a little bit of money into crypto and just see what happens, you know. But everybody's got different views on the subject. I want to thank you so much, Rul, for joining us tonight and sharing your experience and expertise with us. I want to thank the moderators for looking after the side chat, and also the Google police, who apparently are here, for looking after the side chat as well. It's always nice to have extra pairs of hands looking after our side chat, isn't it, Loving Life family? Especially after what they did to Loving Life Live last night, Loving Life family. Anyway, that's all history now. We're moving to, don't forget guys, this is important, we are transitioning to lovinglifetv.com. So please register there, make sure that you're part of that. Rudy's going to be doing a lot of work on it this weekend. We've got a whole lot of stuff that's going to be appearing. Content-wise, it's going to be huge. So please get yourselves involved there. Going to be bigger than Bitcoin, if I can say that. Used to be bigger than Ben-Hur. Remember that comment? Bigger than Ben-Hur?
Well, Bitcoin is created by the rebels, the people that don't accept the way the system works.
Yeah.
So I think your channel speaks volumes in the same line.
Yeah, we do. We kind of live on the edge, and I think that this is why we draw so much attention from Google. Alrighty, Rul, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And as I said, thanks moderators. Thank you for everybody who's been part of the live stream. Share this widely. I'll actually send you a link to the live stream, Rul, in case you want to share that with your Facebook people or whatever. But yeah, I look forward to chatting to you in the future. And we'll catch up soon.
Thank you, Scott. Much appreciated.
You're very welcome. Now, finally, to my family, the Loving Life family. I will leave the side chat open for a few minutes so you guys can say your goodbyes to each other. And I'll see you tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Johannesburg time here on Loving Life on YouTube. But don't forget to register on that thing I'm pointing at just below me. Okay, guys, take care. Bye for now.